Hare Krishna, everyone. Thank you for joining this morning. Shri Sangha and attentive Japa. Let's continue talking about Ajāmila, and we're learning so much from Ajāmila. And last time we were talking about what one's thought should be at the last moment, and we back to back. We had some great examples. Ajāmila in this case, and before that we had Bharat Maharaj. So how important it is to have the right thoughts, have the right consciousness at the time of death, and to utter the right words at the time of death. You should die chanting Hare Krishna, Mahamantra, nothing better than that. So let's carry on where we left off. So this one here, Shukadeva Goswami said, "My dear king, the servants of Lord Vishnu are always very expert in logic and argument." So the Viṣṇudūtas and the Yamdūtas, they were arguing over, who's going to take Ajāmila. And Viṣṇudūta was saying that, why are you even here? You shouldn't even be here because this person has uttered the name of the Lord at the last minute. And as far as we're concerned, he's going back home. After hearing the statement of Yamdūtas, they replied as follows. The Viṣṇudūta said, "Alas, how painful it is that a religion is being introduced into an assembly where religion should be maintained. Indeed, those in charge of maintaining the religious principles are needlessly punishing a sinless, unpunishable person." The Viṣṇudūtas accused the Yamdūtas of violating the religious principles by attempting to drag Ajāmila to Yamraj for punishment, where they think there is no need to punish him. Yamraj is the officer appointed by the Supreme Personality of Godhead to judge religious and irreligious principles and to punish people who are irreligious. However, if completely sinless people are punished, the entire assembly of Yamraj is contaminated. This principle applies not only in the assembly of Yamraj, but throughout human society also. Let's pray. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Mukham kroti vachalam pangum langyate grim yat kirpataham vandashi gurundi taranam paramananda madhvam Shri Chaitanyeshwaram Hariyam Tassat. Narayanam namaskritya naram cheva narottamam devim saraswatyasam tato jayam udiriyat nasta presho abhadresho nityam bhagavad sevya bhagavati uttam shloke bhakti bhavati nishtaki. So a king or governmental official should be so well qualified that he acts as a father, maintainer, and protector of the citizens. Because of affection and love, he should give the citizen good advice and instructions according to the standard scriptures and should be equal to everyone. Yamraj does this, for he is the supreme master of justice, and so do those who follow in his footsteps. However, if such persons become polluted and exhibit partiality by punishing an innocent, blameless person, where will the citizens go to take shelter for their maintenance and security? So the person who's supposed to protect you, if they are punishing you, then what chance do you have? The mass of people follow the example of a leader in society and imitate his behavior. They accept as evidence whatever the leader accepts. So people in general are not very advanced in knowledge by which to discriminate between religion and irreligion. The innocent, unenlightened citizens is like an ignorant animal sleeping in peace with his head on the lap of its master, faithfully believing in the master's protection. If a leader is actually kind-hearted and deserves to be the object of a living entity's faith, how can he punish or kill a foolish person who has fully surrendered in good faith and friendship? So Ajāmila had already atoned for his sinful actions, it seems. Indeed, he has atoned not only for sins, performed in one life, but for those performed in millions of lives. And how is that? For in a helpless condition, he chanted the holy name of Narayan. That's all it took. But he was in a helpless condition. So it's not like, he planned it. The word Narayan came out of his mouth, although it was for his son, but the word Narayan came out of his mouth when he had no control over his thinking. Even though he didn't chant purely, he chanted without offense. That's the thing. He chanted without offense. And therefore, he is now pure and eligible for liberation. The Yamdutas has considered only the external situation of Ajāmila. Since he was extremely sinful throughout his life, they thought he should be taken to Yamraj and did not know that he had become free from the reactions of all his sins. The Viṣṇudūtas therefore instructed that because he had chanted the 4 syllables of the name Narayan at the time of his death, he was freed from all sinful reactions. In this regard, Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur quotes the following verses from the Smriti Shastra. Simply by chanting one holy name of Hari, a sinful man can counteract the reactions to more sins than he is able to commit. That's Brihad Vishnu Puran. If one chants the holy name of the Lord, even in a helpless condition or without desiring to do so, all the reactions of his sinful life depart. Just as when a lion roars, all the small animals flee in fear. That's in the Garuda Puran. By once chanting the holy name of the Lord, which consists of 2 syllables, Hari or Hari, one guaranteed his path to liberation. That's in the Skanda Puran. So the evidence is given in the scriptures that this is the case. If you can chant the holy name of the Lord offenselessly at the time of death, then all your sins are wiped out. The Viṣṇudūtas continued. Even previously, while eating and at other times, this Ajāmila would call his son, saying, "My dear Narayan, please come here." Although calling the name of his son, he nevertheless uttered the 4 syllables, Narayan. This is why I guess Narad Muni is always saying Narayan and Narayan, is purifying himself each moment. Simply by chanting the name of Narayan in this way, he sufficiently atoned for the sinful reactions of millions of lives. I think we should keep chanting all the time, have the feedback with us all the time. Keep chanting the holy name, Krishna. The name of Narayan without offenses. To chant the holy name of the Lord just to counteract one's sinful activities or to commit sinful activities on the strength of the chanting the holy name is offenses. But although Ajāmila engaged in sinful activities, he never chanted the holy name of Narayan to counteract them. So we should not be doing, chanting or saying the word Krishna or Narayan, deliberately for the sake of counteracting. We just should say it, and automatically it happens that we get purified. But that should not be attention. Are we doing it so we can commit more sins, or we will be committing more sins, so we just keep neutralizing them? That I don't think that works. He simply chanted them, because then that would be chanting offensively, chanting the holy name of the Lord in order to commit more sinful activities. Therefore, his chanting was effective. Because of chanting the holy name of Narayan in this way, he had already vanquished the accumulated sinful reactions of many, many lives. In the beginning, he was pure, but although he later committed many sinful acts, he was offenseless because he did not chant the holy name of Narayan to counteract them. One who always chants the holy name of the Lord without offenses is always pure. As confirmed in this verse, Ajāmila was already sinless, and because he chanted the name of Narayan, he remains sinless. It did not matter that he was quoting a son, the name itself was effective. So it's just like if you commit a sin knowingly or unknowingly, you are charged for that sin. You have a reaction for that sin. In the same way, if you say the holy name of the Lord knowingly, unknowingly, that is also useful. This is why book distribution works. This is why preaching works, preaching to the masses, distributing to the masses, because we get them to chant the name of the Lord, even dance to the name of the Lord, hold the Gita in their hands, because it's the absolute platform. Krishna is the absolute platform. His name, fame, pastimes, paraphernalia, his devotees, they're all equal. It's like a train, it's a train. It doesn't matter who is high, who is low. It's a train. So whichever part of the train you touch, you are touching the train right to the engine, which is Krishna himself. So you can touch any compartment, you're touching the train. So name, fame, pastime, paraphernalia, his devotees, whatever you're thinking of, whatever you is saying, unoffensively or offenselessly, same thing. Because such sinful persons may attract the attention of the Supreme Lord, who therefore considers, because this man has chanted my holy name, my duty is to give him protection. That's the thing. By following the Vedic ritualistic ceremonies or undergoing atonement, sinful men do not become as purified as by chanting once the holy name of Lord Hari. Although ritualistic atonement may free one from sinful reactions, but it doesn't awaken devotional service, unlike the chanting of the Lord's names, which reminds one of the Lord's fame, qualities, attributes, pastimes, and paraphernalia. Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur comments that the chanting of the holy name of the Lord has special significance that distinguishes it from the Vedic ritualistic ceremonies of atonement of severe, most severe sinful actions. There are 20 types of religious scriptures called Dharma Shastras, beginning with Manu Samhita and Prashar Samhita. So these are Dharma Shastras, 2 of the 20. But herein it is stressed that although one may become free from the reactions of the most sinful activities by following the religious principles of the scriptures, this cannot promote a sinful man to the stage of loving service to the Lord. On the other hand, chanting the holy name of the Lord, even once, not only frees one immediately from the reactions of the great saints, but also raises one to the platform of rendering loving service to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And remember, chanting the holy name of the Lord is also a devotional service, who is described as Uttam Shloka because he is famous for his glorious activities. Thus, one serves the Lord by remembering his form, his attributes, and his pastimes. And Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur explains that this is all possible simply by chanting the Lord's holy name because of the Lord's omnipotence. What cannot be achieved through the performance of Vedic rituals can be easily achieved through the chanting of the Lord's holy name. To chant the holy name and dance in ecstasy is so easy and sublime that one can achieve all the benefits of spiritual life simply by performing this process. So singing, dancing, most purifying. Therefore, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu declares, Param Vijayate Sri Krishna Sankirtanam. All glories to Sri Krishna Sankirtan. The Sankirtan movement we have started offers the best process for becoming purified of all sinful reactions and coming immediately to the platform of spiritual life. So continues, the ritualistic ceremonies of atonement recommended in the religious scriptures are insufficient to cleanse the heart absolutely because after atonements, one's mind runs again towards material activities. Consequently, for one who wants liberation from the fruitic reactions of material activities, the chanting of the Hare Krishna Mahamantra, or glorification of the name, fame, and pastimes of the Lord, is recommended as the most perfect process of atonement, because such chanting eradicates the dirt from one's heart completely. So Sri Krishna, the personality Godhead, who is the Paramatma in everyone's heart as an expansion and the benefactor of the truthful devotee, cleanses desires for material enjoyment from the heart of the devotee who relishes his messages, which are in themselves virtuous when properly heard and chanted. It is the special mercy of the Supreme Lord that as soon as he knows that one is glorifying his name, fame, and attributes, he personally helps cleanse the dirt from one's heart. What more can we ask? Therefore, simply by such glorification, one not only becomes purified, but also achieves the results of pious activities. So, Punya Shravan Kirtan refers to the process of devotional service. Even if one does not understand the meaning of the Lord's name, pastimes, and attributes, one is purified simply by hearing or chanting of them. Just by hearing, without even saying, just by hearing, one is purified. Such purification is called Sattva Bhavana. This is the power of the holy name. One's main purpose in human life should be to purify the existence and achieve liberation. As long as one has a material body, one is understood to be impure. In such an impure material condition, one cannot enjoy a truly blissful life, although everyone seeks it. Therefore, Srimad Bhagavatam says, Tapo Devyam Putrika Yena Sattvam Sudayet. One must perform tapasya, austerity, to purify the existence in order to come to the spiritual platform. The tapasya of chanting and glorifying the name, fame, and attributes of the Lord is a very easy purifying process. So, everybody can do it, even children can do it. Children are doing it, by which everyone can be happy. Therefore, everyone who desires the ultimate cleansing of his heart must adopt this process. Other processes such as karma, jnana, and yoga cannot cleanse the heart absolutely. So at the time of death, this Ajāmila helplessly and very loudly chanted the holy name of Lord Narayan. That chanting alone has already freed him from the reactions of all sinful life. Therefore, O servants of Yamaraj, do not try to take him to your master for punishment in hellish conditions. The Viṣṇudūtas, who are superior authorities, gave orders to the Yamadutas, who did not know that Ajāmila was no longer subject to tribulation in hellish life for his past sins, although he had chanted the holy name Narayan to indicate his son. The holy name is so transcendently powerful that he was automatically freed because he had chanted the holy name while dying. Ant Narayan Samriti, that's what we want. As Krishna confirms in Bhagavad-Gita, Yesham Tavanta Gatam Papam, Jananam Punya Karmanam, Te Dvandva Maha Nirmukta Bhajante Ma Drida Vritha. Persons who have acted piously in previous lives and in this life, whose sinful actions are completely eradicated and who are freed from the duality of delusion, engage themselves in my service with determination. Unless one is freed from all sinful actions, one cannot be promoted to the platform of devotional service. Elsewhere in Bhagavad-Gita, it is stated, Antakale chamam eva smar mukta kalevram ye pariyati sammadbhava yati nasti atra samshaya. If one remembers Krishna, Narayan, at time of death, one is certainly eligible to return immediately home, back to Godhead. Thank you so much. So we're talking about chanting offenselessly. So we have 10 offenses that we have to be careful of, that we don't commit the 10 offenses, as you know, and we should constantly remind ourselves of the 10 offenses, preferably every day. We should chant them in our head. It takes about half a minute, if even less. We can remind ourselves of the 10 offenses. So remind them, and then we should work on them as well. Just saying them is not enough. Just remind ourselves that we have to not commit any of these offenses, of the 10 offenses. Make sure we don't commit them, and then your chanting becomes offenseless, becomes more powerful. Offensive chanting is not, although the name of the Lord is so strong, is so powerful, as we just demonstrated, and even in all the Puranas, in the Samhitas, it's mentioned that is so powerful. But offenses, Hare Krishna, Rukmani Mataji, Tanvas Pranam. But it also shows that offenses are so powerful as well. Offenses are so powerful that they can reduce the power of the holy name. So, so there's 3 times of chanting, then there's offensive chanting and the offenseless chanting. Which one do you choose? Right? So that decides how powerful your chanting will be. So we have to be very careful. And secondly, they mentioned about doing atonement by ritualistic activities. So where we ask for atonement by doing yajnas to the demigods, ask for forgiveness, but that is not so powerful, because that does not give us devotional service. Chanting, like the Mahamantra, gives us devotional service, because we're asking for devotional service. Devotional service is most important to purify ourselves. Not only purify ourselves, but to take away the seeds of sin that may cause us to sin again. It's very important. So it's very powerful. So thank you so much, Rukmani Mataji, Jai Prabhu, Mother Shamsundar Prabhu, Praveen Mataji, Pundikaksh Prabhu, Sarvashya Mataji. Thank you for joining. Would love to hear from you. We'll start with Sarvashya Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, everybody.
Hare Krishna.
Through Ajāmila's character, we learn a lot of things from him about the holy name of the Lord, chanting offensively, unoffensively. Ajāmila committed sinful activities by associating with the prostitute, but by chanting the holy name, he was saved from the Viṣṇudūtas. The chanting of the holy name is very powerful. It is more powerful than the normal ritualistic ceremony. Chanting the name of the Lord, knowingly, unknowingly, one can be delivered from cycle of birth and death. And by chanting the holy name, one becomes free from sinful reactions and get purified. As you keep on chanting, you get purified. That's why, because we chant the name, then we commit sinful activities, then we chant again, and that's why this go on. So we have to keep on purifying ourselves. If one can remember and chant the holy name before dying, he'll be delivered and go back to Godhead. So, you just when you are dying, you just can't just think straight away. It won't come in your mind. So you have to practice. If you practice, then you will remember when you are time of death. And Ajāmila took the shelter of the Lord's name and was freed from Viṣṇudūtas clutches and saved by Viṣṇudūtas. Because when Ajāmila was chanting the name, he was doing the atonement as well. And what is atonement is taking the Lord's name. So he was already purified, but he was already did the atonement. And then Yamaraj I mean, he's one of the 12 Mahajanas. He got the authority, he know the laws, he can preach. So that's why when the Yamdutas, they went to Yamraj, so and Raj explained them why Ajāmila was sinless. Because Yamdutas, they didn't know the law, but Yamraj, he knew the law very, very well. So in our life, I mean, we have to keep on chanting the holy name and keep on purifying, because it purifies and it's shelter. It's shelter. We have to take shelter of Krishna. That means when you're chanting, you are taking shelter and asking Krishna to engage you in asking especially Radha Rani energy to so we can chant the holy to engage in the devotional service. We pray to Radharani, so energy of Krishna, so that she can help us to do the devotional service. So there's no other way. In Kali Yuga, there's a Hare Nam, Hare Nam, Hare Nam Kevalam, Kalo Naste Vanaste Gatiranita. There's nothing, and Ajāmila did that. He took Lord's name Narayana and he was delivered. So we can practice, and I hope when we are dying, we follow Ajāmila and take Lord name Navangli on Navangli, and we'll be delivered from the sinful activities, and the Yamdutas won't come near us. They say when a person is dying and he is at tilak and kantimala, then the Yamdutas, they won't come near you. Sorry. Hare Krishna. My
Hare
phone
Krishna.
is Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Punikaksh Prabhu.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, everyone. Yeah, I mean, we have been hearing on chanting since morning today, Prabhuji. We are reading chapter 8, Bhagavad-Gita. And Prabhupada, not in one text, but at almost like 10 texts, Prabhupada mentioned about the chanting of holy name. And definitely to avoid offenses, I mean, first we should have that connection with the Lord. Like Chaitanya Mahaprabhu gave us 3 things: Sambandha, Abhideya, and Prayojana. So first we develop the relationship, and for that we need to know the activities of the Lord, the qualities of the Lord, and then slowly we can develop the relationship with Krishna, and slowly that offenses will be eliminated, I think. And very first class, after we come to ISKCON Birmingham, the very first class we had in Anand Prabhu's house from Nitai Kirtan Prabhu. And Nitai Kirtan Prabhu did a class on 10 offenses. But those 10 offenses, I used to think those are only the 10 offenses, because that is the only first time I heard about offenses to holy name. And Nitai Kirtan Prabhu said, while chanting, somebody come and wave your hand, and you just stop your chanting, first talk to them, again continue chanting. Or I mean, always getting disturbed while you're chanting, you're not focused. So that the 10th offense in the chanting, or in the offenses, it says even chanting with unattention is also very offensive. So yeah, it requires a lot of practice to come to that stage. Only in the association of devotees only it is possible, Prabhuji, I think. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhu. Yeah, I mean, in the Kali Yuga, our minds are disturbed. There always stuff going on in our minds. That I guess that's the duty of the mind as well. Mind has to keep churning something. It's a continuous video. This stuff going on all the time. Probably more in the Kali Yuga than other yugas. They were more probably able to control the mind. Then Arjuna did say that it's very difficult. It's easier to control the wind than to control the mind. So mind is difficult to control, and I guess Krishna takes account of that it is. But it's not the fact that we can control the mind. It's the fact that we are trying to control the mind. That's the endeavor is important. That are we trying to control it? Mind runs away. Do we try to bring it back, or we just let it run and think about what we enjoy thinking about, daydreaming about something, making castles in the air. This is what the mind does all the time, invents things, and it might think about sometimes in a mood where you say, oh, why did this happen? Why did this happen? Why this, why that? So that's sense gratification in a way, because we like to want to think about what we want to think about rather than concentrate on the holy name, because that's boring us. We want to think about something more interesting that interests us, that that we think is more important to us. So, but the fact that we make a conscious effort to control the mind onto the holy name, that I think that is the key. That's the important thing. Thank you. Praveen Mataji,
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji, thank you for the class. Yes, like Pundrikaksh Prabhu said about the name. So it is very, very important, and we are very, very fortunate that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has given us the Naam, and it is so easy. We can just sit and chant anywhere. We don't need anything, and it's in our hands, how much we want Krishna to be with us. So we're chanting his name, so he's dancing on our tongue. And name is more merciful than Krishna himself. And that is the only way how we can get out of this cycle of birth and death. And to remember Krishna at the time of death, like we're reading chapter 8, so how important it is to remember him at the time. That is only possible if we practice throughout our life. It will not be that it will just happen. And even then, there is no guarantee that it will happen. But if we practice, like they say, at the time of death, whatever you do in your life, it runs like a film in front of you. So hopefully, if we are engaged in Krishna consciousness and the association of devotees, so we will see that as well. And then possibilities, yes, Krishna will be merciful and will remember him. And Mataji said, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in Chaitanya Harinam, Harinam, Harinam Kevalam. So that is the only way. That's the only way. That's the only way. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Yes, thank you so much, Mataji. Absolutely, and the scriptures are stressing this again and again, because again our mind, he wants to do what he wants to do. He wants to, he wishes that the holy name wasn't important. He wishes religion wasn't important. He wishes that austerity wasn't important. That's in our mind. We want these things to go away. We would rather have fun and enjoyment all the time. That's what the mind wants, like a child. He wants to enjoy. So, but that is not the case. There's a different reality to the one we make in our mind. That there's a different reality, and we have to face that. And Krishna is mentioned in the scriptures that Krishna loves humans more. He loves humans more because with a human body, we are able to go back home. He's happy. Krishna's happy that we have a human body. Now we have the opportunity to go back home because we have the facility to do that. Right? In other forms of animals, trees, plants, insects, we don't have that facility. So although we are all God's creatures, but the human body is more important, and we should not miss the opportunity. Radharani, you want to say?
Hare Krishna. All I can say is that let us keep trying to chant sincerely and attentively, like the last offense where it's mentioned. It's offense to try inattentively, and I think this is our biggest offense, apart from everything else, that we don't try. And I think if we try, we can at least do one round every day inoffensively, but I don't know about everyone. I can't even complete one round attentively, because this is how we are. There's no shame in admitting it. So, yes, let's keep remembering what Bhagwan has left for us in 8 verses of Shikshashtaka with Bara Purnima coming. And also, like it has been mentioned earlier, that we should remember the 10 offenses diligently, not just in the morning. I think many times in the day we have to remind ourselves. Then only we'll understand the importance of the holy name in our life. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you. And so Jai Prabhu gives a reminder. By chanting the name of Narayan, Ajāmila had atoned for all his sinful actions and was safe from being punished by Yamraj. By the Viṣṇudūtas, as a fire burns dry grass to ashes, so the holy name of the Lord, whether chanted knowingly or unknowingly, burns to ashes without fail all the reactions of one's sinful activities. Even the most heinous sinful acts, such as killing of Brahman, adultery, slaughtering of cows, and the murder of one's own father, can be atoned for by chanting the holy name of the Lord. Chanting the holy name of the Lord even once not only frees one immediately from the reactions of the greater sins, but also raises one to the platform of rendering loving service to him. One serves the Lord by glorifying his form, his attributes, and pastimes. By such glorification, one not only becomes purified, but also achieves the results of pious activities. Whatever state of being one remembers one when he quits his body, that state he will attain without fail. That's in 8.6. If one has practiced chanting the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra throughout his life, then it will be more likely that he'll remember Krishna at the time of death. And it's also mentioned that you only come to devotion service for, you have been purified in some way already, then you come to devotion service. Not everybody can straight away come to devotion service. There's something that happened. You have got some mercy of devotees. That's usually the key. And that usually is the case, that you get mercy of the devotees, association of devotees, and you came to Krishna consciousness. So thank you so much, and nice to have Rukmini Mataji with us today. And we'll carry on with the chanting. And I don't know if Swashi Mataji is still on the phone or has come off the phone. Mataji, are you available? Okay, so Mataji might be on the phone. Maybe we can ask Praveen Mataji to start the chanting. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimati Bhaktivedanta Swamiti Namine Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunavadi